Having established whiteness as the unmarked norm within British advertising, we can now address the central paradox revealed by reactions such as Sarah Pochin's. The paradox is this: how can the extension of visibility to others be experienced as deprivation by those who lose nothing materially? The answer lies in cognition. Social psychology and sociology have long documented a phenomenon known as status threat. Status threat occurs when a group that has historically occupied a dominant or default position perceives that position to be weakening, not because of actual loss, but because exclusivity is being diluted. Crucially, this perception does not require evidence of harm. It requires only the appearance of parity. When whiteness functioned as the unquestioned center of British visual culture, it was not experienced as dominance. It was experienced as neutrality. As soon as that neutrality is disrupted, even partially, it is reinterpreted as displacement. This produces what scholars describe as zero-sum cognition. Zero-sum thinking assumes that social recognition operates like a finite resource. If others gain visibility, someone else must be losing it. But advertising is not a zero-sum system. White people have not been removed from British advertising. They have not been marginalized. They have not been rendered invisible. What has changed is exclusivity. And it's the loss of exclusivity, not presence, that produces this grievance. This is why the language of backlash so often invokes loss without evidence. Phrases such as "we're being erased," "we don't see ourselves anymore," "this no longer represents Britain, represents us." These claims do not correspond to empirical reality. They correspond to exceptional rupture. Another cognitive mechanism intensifies this reaction. It's called salience bias. Salience bias describes the tendency to overestimate the frequency of something that is emotionally charged or identity relevant. Once black visibility is perceived as threatening, it becomes hypervisible. A single advert featuring a black family is not processed as one advert. It is processed as confirmation of a pattern. The mind then constructs a narrative of saturation. This is why individuals sincerely report that black people are everywhere, even when objective exposure remains limited. The brain notices what aligns with existing concern and ignores what does not. White faces continue to dominate advertising, but they are no longer noticed because they remain aligned with expectation. Black faces violate expectation and therefore demand attention. This is the moment where entitlement becomes visible. Entitlement not to exclusion, but to centrality. The unspoken assumption is not merely "I want to see people like me," rather, "I should not have to adjust my sense of normality to accommodate others." This is why reactions are framed as fatigue, black fatigue, as we often see in the comments. "I'm tired of seeing this. I'm fed up with it. It's being shoved in our faces." Fatigue implies imposition. What is experienced as imposition is in reality adjustment to shared space. It is essential to state this clearly. The discomfort does not arise because black people are being elevated above others. It arises because black people are being positioned as ordinary. Ordinariness, when previously denied, is deeply destabilizing to hierarchies that relied on invisibility to persist. This is why appeals to fairness or balance fail to resolve the anger. The issue is not proportionality. The issue is that equality dismantles the psychological comfort of default. And this brings us to a final, critical point. When individuals say "this is not racist, I just don't like it," they are often sincere. They believe so. Because racism in its contemporary form does not always operate through conscious belief. It operates through expectation, habit, and affective reaction. Through what feels intuitive, through what feels excessive, and through what feels wrong, even when no rule has been violated. What we are witnessing then is not a media controversy. What we are witnessing is a moment of cognitive recalibration, a society adjusting unwillingly to the fact that visual centrality is no longer racially guaranteed. From here, the analysis must turn outward, not toward individuals, but toward responses, toward comment sections, toward backlash language, and toward the recurring insistence that this is being forced. Because those reactions, they are data.